Hi, I'm Maria Theoharis-Silvelosos on social media. Welcome back to Sofa 50's podcast on Organised style. Grab a cuppa, support this podcast on Patreon, and relax with us. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and like this video. Duane MacLeod has finished his tailoring qualifications and is back on the podcast. Last year, Kim asked to bring Duane back on the podcast so we could find out about how he is progressing with his tailoring business now that he's back in Maine. You'll notice that I've used a new soundtrack for the podcast that I'd like your feedback on. The video version of this podcast is on YouTube and they have very interesting copyright rules, hence the change. For now, let's watch and listen to Duane. Duane, thank you for coming on to the podcast for Sofa 50 on Organised Style.
Well, it's a treat to be here, Maria. It's always a treat. I think I've been here a couple of times before.
You have, and I think the beauty of this time is it's video and audio. A lot of the work that you've been doing in tailoring, in bespoke tailoring, is something that I know the listeners want to see and hear about. So thank you for coming back on the podcast.
All right. I'm so glad to be here. I'm ready to go.
So the last time we spoke, you gave me your time, your valuable time, while you were sort of part of the way through the Tailoring Academy course in the UK. And now you've finished the course.
So we graduated in July of 2023. There were 13 of us total, and there were 6 international students. So I was one of the international students. And so we had our little graduation ceremony in like mid-July of that year. As an international student, we got 2 diplomas. So we got one certification, which was cutting and tailoring a bespoke jacket, which was sort of the first half of the course. And then we also got another diploma of cutting and tailoring bespoke trousers and a waistcoat. You know, we had a great little celebration. There was champagne. There was all kinds of food. You know, I have my diplomas. We were certified by the UKFT. So United Kingdom Fashion Technology Textile Association. That's what it was. And also the British Accreditation Association. So we had two certifications on our diplomas. And then we all went to 4 corners of the world, so to speak. We all had to go home.
I think one of the things that you told us last time, as an international student, you couldn't actually stay in the UK for the whole period. You had to leave the country and come back.
Correct. Right. So we could stay on like a tourist visa for 6 months.
Yep.
Then we had to go somewhere. Everybody picked a place to go. We just had to leave the country and come back in. And then I think some of the students stayed a little bit longer than I did that summer. But eventually your 6 months runs out and you know, technically you have to go. So it was a great way for us to be able to participate in the program as international students because that was possible before. So it was really terrific to have that opportunity.
And the opportunity that you were able to take up also meant at the time the upgrading of your car didn't happen.
That's right. That's right. You know, I guess I must have said, you know, I was saving up money to like buy a new vehicle and I decided, you know what? I would much rather go to England and go to tailoring school than have a new vehicle. And I never regretted that decision, not one bit.
Sorry, I brought that up because I just thought, you know, you got to weigh it up. You don't have, you know, lots of resources, so what's going to give?
That's right. You know, this was just such a better way to spend that money. I have no regrets. It would turn my whole life upside down in only the best way.
That's great. So now that you're back home, how do you describe yourself as the bespoke tailor of.
Yeah, sort of. I met with like a small business administration person.
Mhm.
I decided that I needed to kind of start my own little business. It was a free resource and I got lots of information and basically my business counselor, I guess you would call him,
Yep.
said, you just need to go out and do some market research. While I was at the Tailoring Academy, my thoughts about what I wanted to do when I came back were evolving all of the time. When I started, I thought, oh, I want to go back home and I want to open up a maker space where people could come and work on their own projects. I wasn't at the Tailoring Academy very long before I decided, you know what, I don't think that I want to do that at all. Um, and as the year or the months progressed, I thought,
Yep.
maybe I want to get into like the wedding business. I think that would be a really great thing to just kind of work one-on-one with somebody, like maybe making a suit or something like that. After meeting with my business advisor, once I got back home, I decided, okay, I'm going to go to like a wedding expo, which I did, which was in Portland, Maine, which is the largest city in Maine.
Mhm.
And I was not there more than 15 minutes. And I decided, you know what? This is also not for me.
Yeah.
And it was really obvious that I wasn't going to find my customer there. It was not what I expected. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
And it was a good learning experience because I just decided this is not where I'm headed. This is that my customer isn't here. I decided, okay, well, let's just see what's out there for menswear. I've told this story so many times, but I got all dressed up. I put on all the best stuff that I had ever made. I made this winter white coat, which is like totally impractical but gorgeous that that I made after I came back from England. And I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go to the big menswear stores and see what they do. And I was just so lucky to walk into one of the menswear stores in Portland. It's called David Wood Clothiers. And the staff there just immediately understood what I do, what I am about. And so many opportunities have come through that whole experience. I've made a couple of coats for them, one of which unfortunately still hasn't sold, but I'm always hopeful. But it has just, it has kind of opened up some doors for me. And so, one thing just has sort of led to the other. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that,
Yeah.
it really is possible. It really is possible to find clients and to do this kind of work.
Mhm.
And I just feel I have been really so lucky.
I think the good thing that you've said is that you've looked at this possibility or that possibility until you found the sort of work that you are comfortable and get some joy out of as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love doing the work. I think everybody who went to the Tailoring Academy, there's a certain maker gene in all of the people that were there that they just love making stuff. And I've just found since coming back that there are that the flip side of that coin is that there are people out there that love things that are really truly crafted
Mm.
and they appreciate the craftsmanship and the work that goes into making really unique clothes. And they find great joy in that. I found that those people are really out there. And like I'm working with a couple guys right now. I really have just really two clients, but it's enough to keep me busy. They are really busy men and I kind of have to work around their schedules. But it's really been so much fun to kind of make their vision, if you want to call it that way, kind of come to life. It's just very rewarding for me.
Yeah. And so now that you are back home in the US, while you were at the tailoring course, you got to go to a lot of suppliers of fabrics that you were able to use while you were in the course. Now that you're back home, what's your process? How are you sourcing what you need?
Wow, that has been one of my biggest challenges. We were encouraged at the Tailoring Academy to develop some relationships with some suppliers. And one of them in particular, Abraham Moon, I've been able to keep that relationship going. So I was able to kind of, I don't know what you say, flip my student account into a professional account.
Mm.
And they are wonderfully responsive. I'm using one of their fabrics with one of my clients right now. And, it's just been very easy to work with them. But there are other parts to the whole tailoring thing that have been really challenging. And it's mostly finding, for me, it was things finding like things like buttons and line lining materials and various canvases and the horsehair and all of that has been really challenging as a small kind of nobody independent tailor
Oh,
in
yeah.
Maine. But
Yeah.
through Instagram, I found out about like a textile trade show that was going to take place in New York City in January.
Hmm.
And I decided, you know what? I need to go to this thing. I have my own business. I have, so I can get in. It's like a to the trade only sort of thing. So I can get in and I really need to go to this. And it was just one of the smartest things I've done so far because, I was able to find like a lining supplier. I found a button supplier that I really needed. I was able to connect with McGee, who is out of Ireland, and they do all of the Donegal tweed. They are like the
Wow.
Donegal experts, and they have sent me all sorts of samples. I found I could go on and on. Of course, if you're in this business, you love all of the fabrics and stuff. And there was a British linen supplier that actually had like a blend that was linen and pineapple leaves or whatever is left over after the pineapple harvest.
Right.
And they had a sample coat made up out of that, a jacket. And it was made by Cordings of Piccadilly. And they're like a big deal in London.
Hmm.
And I mean, that coat, that jacket was so incredible. It was like I couldn't imagine anybody not wanting it. And, they sent me samples of that. So I'm just waiting for the right person to come along to kind of pitch that fabric to. But
Mm.
they also sent me tons of other linen samples and stuff. So slowly but surely, I kind of getting to to a point where I feel that I have something to offer, like, that I can meet with a client and actually have like lots of things for them to choose from, because that's kind of what we all want to do. That's what we all want to do, right? We just want to be able to say, the world is your oyster. Here are all of these things. What appeals to you?
Mm.
You know, that's anyway, it's great. It's great fun. It was a terrific experience, and I met a lot of really great people.
And really, you are a business, a starting business. So going to a business expo or a business, was it an expo?
Yeah, it was sort of like a trade show, right? It was
Okay.
this all for like spring. It was all for
Yeah.
spring fabrics. So, there were, I'm sure, I have no idea who all the people were there, but some of them may be like small manufacturers that are looking
Yeah.
to place a order to make, a few, I don't know, thousand things. I don't know. But
Mm.
I'm just there. I just work project to project, right? But there are people there that are willing to help. That was what was so terrific about the whole experience.
When you were on the podcast last time, you were fully into learning, tailoring, and you were really excited, even though, it took a lot of your energy. That excitement is still there when you talk about it now. So I think you've really hit the right part of what you want to do with yourself and what you and your skills.
People that know me that, I've made all the clothes that I really ever need for
Mm,
myself, right? I think one of the things about, you know, having that skill and being able to make our own clothes is that the clothes that we make, well, first of all, they last and last and last and last, right? Because they're well made. And they're the clothes that we really, really, really want.
mm,
And so, I don't need any more of that. So my real joy is to meet other people and try to make the things for them that really make them happy, that, really, that are meaningful to them, clothes that are meaningful
mm,
and that will last, right? That could potentially last like a whole lifetime if they're well taken care of. And that's
mm.
for me, that's just such a thrill in a way.
I mean, wouldn't it be like in the future, there might be an exhibit of all the Duane MacLeod. Think about
I
it.
don't know. I don't know about that. I'm working with these two clients now, and a lot of the stuff
Yeah,
that's going through my head is like, oh man, I really hope that they really like this. I
yeah.
hope that this is really right for them. Um, and so it just I don't know. It's a different way of working. It's just a different way of working for me.
Mm.
Um,
And I think, when you're wearing something that you've made and through the day and various people say, that's a great shirt or that's a great jacket, you feel really happy with it, right?
I do. Yeah. I mean, one of one of my neighbors just recently had, it's springtime here in Maine and spring is kind of a non-existent season here because it just snowed like a few days ago. I mean, we go back and forth and back and forth. So
Yeah.
my neighbor had this little house party, right? And all the neighbors came over. I was like, so I just pulled out this like crazy kind of spring shirt that I made, with some Hello Kitty Liberty fabric. And it was
Mm.
just, it was fun to just wear that and just say, you know what, it's spring. Let's have fun. So I get a lot of pleasure out of the stuff that I've made for myself. I just I want to do the same thing for other people now.
And don't you think that your clients, when they're wearing a Duane MacLeod original, they're going to get, hey, it's what it is.
I hope so. The bar is really high with these two clients that I'm
Yeah.
working with right now. And I try not to think about it too
Yeah.
much, but one of them has been getting his clothes from a Savile Row tailor who comes and does like a trunk show in Boston. I try not to think about who I have to measure up to here,
Yeah.
it's just wow. So I kind of have to just kind of turn that off and I just have to go, you know what? You just have to do the best work you can. That's all you can do here is to just do the best work for this person that you possibly can. And one of the other clients also, has had custom tailor stuff done in New York. And it's just like, I'm I just have to go, you know what? You can only do the best work that you can do. And that's what I set out to do every day that I'm working on one of their commissions.
And, if they've had those experiences and they're coming to you, they see that you're bringing that to them. You're bringing that level of experience to them. and you've got the training. So I'm just trying to be
Oh,
supportive and just say
I know, I
I know it's in
know.
the back of your head, but you're doing it. You're doing it every day.
Yeah, yeah. It's like they, for some reason, somehow they're putting their trust in me, right? But and it really is. You mentioned the word experience, and it really is so much about the experience, and that's what I also want to give them. I want to give them like a really fun, a fun experience doing this, right? We're gonna, you know, I just met one of them. We had a fitting like maybe like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you know, I meet them at like a co-working space in a town near me, which is, it's a beautiful space. And we meet in like a little conference room and there it's turned out to be a terrific place to work. And I just want that to be like a real out of the ordinary experience for these guys
Mm.
because they're not just going to a store and buying something hanging off the rack, right? I don't know. I want it to be fun for them. Now I have this whole book of like lying material. It's like, here, flip through this and find something really kind of says, wow, this is really fun,
Mm.
right? So, one of my guys picked this like burgundy camo Cupro, you know, lining. It's fun, it's just like and I want them to have that experience. I just want them to have the clothes and have like a memorable experience about the whole thing.
You're keeping it as a good experience for them as well, too, when you're meeting them in those spaces.
I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying, like I just want it to be I want it to be fun more than anything, it should
Mm.
be exciting. They should be excited about what they're wearing, right? They have,
Yeah.
they have ideas about how they want to look. Very strong ideas about how they want to look, to tell you the truth. And I just want to make it happen. I just want to make it happen for them.
Yeah. Yep. Good on you. It's a lot, and it's great that you're doing it, Dwayne.
I'm retired now. I can do this like right in my house. It's just like
Yeah.
perfect. It's just like perfect. Plus, I just love making stuff. And this is just part of who I am. It's just, I get to come up here in my little workspace and I can
Mm.
just like make away, make stuff for other people. It's just been terrific.
So,
I hope I can keep it going. I hope I can. I got to keep these two guys happy.
yeah. Yeah. And you're doing everything that you can to do that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the energy's there and the excitement in you to do this is there. It's still there. It's good.
I don't think they get that out of me. I don't know. It's just like kind of built in, I think, because I could like, I could talk about this stuff all day long. I
Yeah.
could,
Yeah.
right?
When people come to you and say, Dwayne, I'm thinking about doing the tailoring course in the UK, what sort of advice would you give those people?
Oh, first of all, I gotta say, I'm so honored that people will even reach out to me.
Mm.
And people do, I've since finishing the course, I've had several people, contact me through Instagram and say, hey, I just have a couple questions. Can I'm just not sure, right? And I am more than happy to just, tell people what it's all about, what's going to happen. I had a young guy. I I don't remember. I don't know if we talked over Zoom or what we did. It's not uncommon for people that already have like some kind of like fashion degree or a costume degree to want to go to the Tailoring Academy or to want to move from costuming to tailoring.
Yep.
And so that was the case with this young guy. He already had I think pretty extensive costuming background. And a part of that, I think, was pretty heavily tailoring oriented. So,
Mm.
we just kind of talked about it. I have no idea what his final decision was going to be. Um, but I'm there to just answer people's questions about it.
Yeah.
Um, because it's a big investment, time wise, financially, it's a big investment, right? And people want to know what they're going to get, what they're going to get, right?
Yeah.
And I I got a hell of a lot more than I thought I was going to get. I think.
And you still got the connections with the people that you studied with, right? And the
Yeah,
suppliers. Yeah.
with some of that, and with some of the other international students. Of course,
Yeah.
we're all off trying to do our own thing, and I'm
Mm.
in a different position. I mean, they were all so much younger than me. I don't need it to support myself,
Yeah.
right? But, they need, like real jobs. And so they're looking into the whole fashion world. That's where their interests lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dwayne, before we finish, what is the name of your tailoring venture? Because I don't think we mentioned it.
Oh, we didn't. Oh, it's Hold Fast Bespoke. Um, my last name is MacLeod, and Hold Fast is like our family motto. It's on all of our like, family kind of crest kind of stuff. So that's why I used it. And I also, our tartan is the yellow and black. So
Yeah.
my logo is all in yellow and black. It's just my own thing. But yes, that's me, Hold Fast Bespoke. Yeah.
And Hold Fast Bespoke is also an Instagram account as well as Mainly Menswear.
Right. I have the two, right? It's hard. I'm kind of tech challenged, right? It's hard. I have enough trouble keeping up, with Instagram. And I haven't really posted a lot recently. It's
Yeah.
just like, I'm so focused on what I'm doing. It's like, God, I don't have time to take pictures of any of this stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, I have the two accounts and they're kind of conjoined, I guess you'd say. Yeah.
Great. So if people want to find you personally, they go to Mainly Menswear. And again, if they're interested in the Hold Fast Bespoke side, your tailoring venture, they go to that account. And even if they do sometimes look similar, that's, if people find out that they want bespoke tailoring done in, the area where you live, direct them to Hold Fast Bespoke.
Right. Right. And I also have a website too, right? Which is
Okay.
holdfastbespoke.com,
All right.
right? So,
Yeah.
that was one of my uh, business advisors pieces of advice. He says, you know what? You want to be sure that you like own like all the real estate. He says, so pick a name where you can have like a website where everything can be the same name, your Instagram account, your Facebook account, whatever.
Yeah.
Just make sure that he described it as like owning all of the real estate.
Yeah.
And it was a wise thing that I learned. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Dwayne, thank you for coming back onto the podcast.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me,
That's all
Maria.
right.
It's always a treat. Always a treat.
Oh, thank you for your valuable time because I know you're really into it now. So thank you.
Okay. All right.
This episode of Soul Organised Style Podcast was video and audio produced by me, Maria Thea Harris, in my sewing room with permission of Duane MacLeod. Sound by Kaneef on YouTube. Many thanks for the ongoing support for the podcast Patreon contributors. Their ongoing support enables me to develop this podcast in video and audio for you for free. Go to Patreon and find the So Organised Style Patreon page and join us. Make sure you direct message Sandy and editors at Sover50 on Instagram to contribute to the ongoing posts and challenges the team posts to the community of over 53,000 followers. You can subscribe to So Organised Style Podcast, spelled with an S, not a Z, on all good podcast apps. Make sure you go back and listen to our free So50 podcast archive on So Organised Style Podcast. I look forward to joining you in your sewing room next time. Stay safe, everyone.